What made this just jump here to Wisconsin real easy was being able to work for Gary Andersen again. I worked for him for 2.5 years at Utah State University, and just in that time being, I learned so much from him. He developed me as a defensive line coach, and when I took that over, I carried all that stuff I learned over to Utah and applied it, and it worked well. But the whole deal with Gary is, me coming over was because I know one thing: Gary will take care of his players, and he'll also take care of the coaches and the coaches' families, and that was important to me, and that's why the transition or the move was easy.
Talked about this being quick. What is your style? How would you say your coaching style is? What do you bring to the table with the guys that you'll be working with?
Bring high energy. I expect toughness, and that's what you get out of my group. Hard-nosed bunch of guys will have that. And then at the same time, we like to have some swag. I know Wisconsin is known for being an offensive line school, and maybe I got to get used to that somewhat. I just came from a university where they pump out defensive linemen in the NFL like how Wisconsin pumps out O linemen. So I know our guys have confidence here. They don't lack that, but I think we're gonna try and throw our weight around a little bit with the O linemen.
But nobody walks into a position that's got more depth and guys coming back than you do. How's that good, positive? How does that impact your
I think that's a positive. I think both myself and my new group will have to kind of feel out each other and kind of go from there. I mean, they're a veteran group. They've been with one coach for, I guess, the last coach was here for 5 years. So I gotta take that into consideration. But at the end of the day, I know we'll get along fine. I've been doing this for a while. Talk about experienced groups. I'm just leaving an experienced group at Utah. So have I worked with a lot of talent? Yes, I have. I mean, there's 3 NFL guys I'm leaving on that team and coming in here and inheriting a pretty good team. So I think, we'll work fine together.
Speaking of that talent, what was it like coaching Star, one of the best defensive tackles in college football?
It was a treat to coach him. He not only he was a physical, just a dominating physical player, but at the same time his intelligence was a huge plus, and that fed. He was a second coach. He wasn't real vocal, but he'd lead by example. And then when Star had to speak, the rest of his teammates or his position group knew. But yeah, he made my job pretty easy. So I know he's going to be real successful in the NFL.
Do you think that does a lot for credibility? Not that you lacked it, but just when you coach a lot of successful guys that people know, with these guys here, do you think that helps?
Yeah, it probably helps. Makes me look like I know what I'm doing. But I had Star for 2 years. When I came in, Star was not a starter, and my job was to, get him in shape, have him cut some pounds, get his technique cleaned up a little bit, and tweak a few things in what he was doing that we wasn't seeing on film, and that's the motivating part of it. Where being a coach, you got to motivate certain people to do certain things, and I was a new guy coming in, and he took well to my coaching, and good things happened for him. But I mean, I'm not patting myself on the back. Star's a talented kid, and you'll hear Gary say this: it's not about the coaches, it's about the players. So, they just make me look good.
What did Ron McBride tell you about this place?
Ron McBride, absolutely. Every time we spoke on the phone. I mean, he just glowed about Wisconsin, how much I'm gonna love it, and how this place just bleeds Wisconsin football. And the one thing he did say was, he's like, Chad, I'm gonna tell you this. Everybody will know about you before you even get there. I'm like, yeah, right. I'm some guy from Hawaii. I coach the D-line. Nobody cares about me. And I end up going to the Rose Bowl, and we're walking up, going to our seats, and we sit down. And these 2 girls and this guy, they're fans. They're like, hey, you're the new D-line coach. Welcome. I'm like, how do you know that? I'm like at the Rose Bowl in the middle of, some section, and you point me out that way, and it was pretty cool. And like I said, I think people around town, there's so much, pride in the university and in the football program that, they recognize who you are, and maybe that's something I got to get used to. But like I said, I'll keep saying I coach the D-line, so hopefully I'm undercover, the O-line coach can take
You
take
seem
all
like
of
a
it.
pretty passionate guy, though. Do you demand that out of your players?
Absolutely, and you'll see that right now. I'm like, kind of laid back, and I remember doing one interview, and it's like I was kind of like this, and they're like, "Well, how do you get you guys fired up if you're so mellow?" I said, "Well, I'm not working right now. I'm talking to you guys. I'm not comfortable in this situation." So, but I'll get them going. I'm a passionate guy. If not, Gary would never hired me. I mean, we got to be high energy, high tempo coaches. We got to be able to love our guys and take care of them. They're the first priority for us. Not only Gary, but for us, and that's why I'm here.
From being at the Rose Bowl, or what you've been able to see on tape of looking at anything, what early impressions have you formed about the guys that you have coming back?
Some big athletic guys. They run well, and they're a physical group. I got no obvious things I can point out right now that we got to work on. I haven't gotten into depth with the film, so everything's been positive from what I see.
Gary talked about recruiting Hawaiian or Polynesian players. Do you like what they bring in terms of attitude, the passion that they have for football, and do you think that could fit well here?
Yeah, I think we fit well anywhere. It's just making, you got to get one so you can bring some other ones up here. Now, I think, we've been successful in the West, and I think other schools in the country are starting to do that. But if we do it, we got to be committed to it. Because Wisconsin is far away. I'm not going to lie about that. And the thing is, but you gotta find that one, and then that way you keep them coming. And like I said, you got to be dedicated to recruiting Polynesian players. And if Gary's in charge, then that's what we're going to do. If that's the direction we're going to go in. Do I expect our roster to look like Utah State or University of Utah or BYU's? No, but. If we can get a handful of kids, that'd be great. But we'll see. I think everybody's expecting me to sign like 5 Polynesian kids this class. That's not going to happen. It won't happen. We're kind of late in the game. So, but I think the one thing about having Polynesian kids in your program, and I have been interviewed on this before, and I'll stick by it. I think our kids bring that family atmosphere, the family environment. Family always comes first, and then that's why a lot of schools went to recruiting Polynesian kids. They kind of seen what was happening at Utah and BYU, and it's unbelievable the way they bring that camaraderie and that I got your back feel to the team, and I think that's one of the biggest assets that they contribute, not only because they're big physical guys and they're 300-pounders that look like that can run like linebackers.
That helps.
But that's obviously that helps. But they bring that other side of it to the programs.
Is that how you coach? Is it like a family in the defensive line?
Absolutely, it will be. Team always comes first, but as a group, like I said, we're gonna have some swag. We'll be really confident, and we're gonna stick our chests out too around here. So, I mean, and that's what you can look for.
You work against that offensive line, and your guys should be good, right?
Yeah, they should be. I mean, that's an impressive looking group now. Oh boy! So
you walk by them?
Yeah. I watched them in practice, and I was like, wow, okay. But we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
When those people recognized you at the Rose Bowl, did they say your name? Were they able to pronounce your name? Did you test them at all?
I think when I met some of the players there, first of all, Coach Charlie, Coach Charlie, the last coach, he was great. He made the transition smooth. He gave me a bunch of information on some of the players, and at the same time, I know a lot of these guys came up to me, but I'm sure he had a lot to do with that. And so we got talking and got to know each other, briefly for the last couple of days I was there, which was good. But I never once asked these guys to pronounce my name. In fact, I was calling all my guys yesterday. I called every position player I had, checked on how they were doing. And I said, okay, this is my new cell number. I'll send you a text right after we get off the phone and spell my name for you. Because it's just, I don't want you guessing. I want you to get it right. So that's going to be fun when they come back. But my whole deal will be is you call me Coach Chad, Coach K, or don't even try not to my last name if you can't say it. So
could you help us?
Yeah, for those of you testing, what is the correct pronunciation?
The correct pronunciation is Kauha'aha'a. Kauha'aha'a.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's, you got to put that pause in your throat, but Kauha'aha'a is my last name. That's as Hawaiian as you can get.
Right.
So,
Great.
yeah.
Do you think you'd ever be coaching in the Midwest here in Madison,
You know,
Wisconsin?
with college football, you never know. And I've always, I always keep the door open. I never say never to anything. And this is a, great opportunity professionally for me, coaching in a great conference, and at a school with a lot of, honor and tradition. And so, I mean, I knew about Wisconsin football when I was growing up. I know. And I got to play against Wisconsin when I was at the University of Utah. They pushed us around pretty well with Ron Dane's first year. Copper Bowl. Unfortunately, our running back got hurt in the first quarter.
Yeah.
So that was my senior year, and I got, at least I got to play against, this university. And would I have thought that I was going to be here a couple months ago? No, absolutely not. But like I said, I believe in Gary Andersen. I believe in his philosophy. I believe in what he does for his players and for the guys that work for him, and that's why I'm out here.